Hello and welcome, I'm Zach, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Sony's PlayStation Portal. Now this is a well-constructed, great first-party option to play your PS5 away from the TV. But what if we could do that bigger? That's where the D9 controller comes in. We're going to be able to connect this controller up to an iPad Pro 12-inch. But is bigger better? Or is it going to go back in the box? First, I want to talk about the build quality of both controllers. The plastic on the Portal really reflects a premium quality. Sony really wanted to give you the feel of the PS5 DualSense. The plastic on the back has a texture to it to give you a little grip. The D-pad on the Portal is in the PlayStation style and works just like the DualSense controller. The joysticks and buttons on the Portal have that same high-quality feel and response that you get from a DualSense controller. Overall, the Portal controller is smaller than the actual PS5 DualSense. I wish that the Portal controller was a 1-to-1 size for the actual DualSense. But I think they could have added weight to it and maybe even made the screen look smaller next to a normal size controller. The D9 is a grip controller that has a telescoping center to allow it to fit around different sized devices. And this includes up to an iPad Pro 12-inch. Now it's a tight fit and it really takes bending the controller back a little to snap it around that iPad Pro. You could try to slide it in from the top, but the rubber grips on the inside of the controller make that quite difficult. But once it's in the D9 controller, it has a very tight grip. Because the iPad Pro is so large, it doesn't allow the controller to extend any further and to release its grip on the iPad. That makes it a little bit more secure to use than other devices I tried out inside the D9 controller. There is no lock for the telescoping, so any other smaller device that allows you to still pull the controller apart will drop the device straight out. The grip also comes with rubber pads to help the back of the controller rest against the device that's in it. These are helpful for thin devices like tablets, but something that's thicker like the Switch, it's better not to use these rubber pads as they're not needed to support the back of the controller. The grips of the controller have a molded texture to them too, that helps with the grip. They have that same kind of texture feel to the back that the PS Portal has. And I have to say that this controller has a good quality build to it, much better than I've seen with other third-party cheaper controllers. And that's the thing, this controller was $36 on AliExpress. Now that price will vary, but it's not an expensive controller. The D-pad is a more traditional design and not like the PlayStation D-pad. The buttons feel really good, and I like the design of having the symbols and lettering included on the buttons. Now the joysticks are listed as Hall effect sticks and they have a great response with no dead zones. And the triggers are analog Hall effects, and they feel great too. The only thing that feels terrible are the bumper buttons. The bumpers wiggle all around. Playing with them, I didn't have issues getting them to activate, but bumping into them and feeling this wiggle is really annoying. The other feature I had issues with is the motion control. On the Switch, the motion is way oversensitive on the Y-axis when tilting up and down. Moving on the X-axis left and right felt fine and closer to other motion controllers. Now you might be able to calibrate this controller's motion on the Y-axis to get it more in line, but out of the box this was the worst response to motion controls I've had on a third-party controller. On the D9 we're also going to get 2 back buttons. And these back buttons are programmable with any of the face buttons. But they're very clicky. And one of the big negatives is that you can't press both back buttons at the same time. So when I have my back buttons, I usually like to assign the run button and the jump. But because we can't activate both buttons at the same time, I can't run and jump. The Portal's controller is always attached and part of the unit. It needs no extra steps to connect to the device that will be streaming your PS5. Whereas the D9 is a separate controller that can pair with multiple types of devices. The D9 connects over Bluetooth. There is no USB-C connector or Lightning connector for the controller. It only has a USB-C port to charge it. For pairing options, you're going to get a standard Android mode, an iOS MiFi mode, a PC X input mode, Switch Pro controller, DualSense 4. The pairing for the different types is done by holding a button combination while powering on the controller. The controller will have to be paired again between each pairing setting, meaning if I pair it to my Switch and then to my iPad, I have to repair it back to my Switch again before it will connect. The D9 has rumble, and the quality of vibration is good. The motors are larger than most other grips I've used. It's not HD rumble, but it doesn't feel cheap. The main issue I have is that on iOS and Android, there is no support for rumble or vibration to a controller while streaming your games. There are some first-party games on iOS or Android that can support rumble, but it is going to be hit and miss, and that's not really going to help us when we're streaming our PS5 or Xbox. The rumble works on the Switch, but there are a ton better solutions for grip controllers for the Switch. Now with the iPad Pro, when the controller is connected, the speakers of the iPad line directly up with my fingers on the grip. And as the speakers are turned up, I can feel the engine rev while playing Forza. Being able to play on a big screen like an iPad Pro is great, but with a big screen comes weight. So getting the controller in the right place to balance the weight to get this to feel comfortable is really important. But if the iPad Pro is too large, a 9.7-inch iPad has a decent sized screen. And because it's 4:3, when we put a 16:9 image on there, we're going to get about the same size image as we would on a Portal. And then of course you can go with smaller tablets or even phones. With all the different remote play apps, you're going to be able to stream PlayStation, Xbox Console, Xbox Cloud, and PC game streamings. So if you have more than just a PlayStation for gaming, then the option to access your other gaming systems to remote play is a great feature. And that's not just locked to the D9, that'll be with any Bluetooth controller that you can use with a tablet or phone. Whether that's going to be Xbox, iCloud, or PS Remote, the quality of the games and compression seem to be very comparable. I found that on the iPad Pro I had the fewest amount of drop frames of any of the devices, and that includes the Portal. I believe that the iPad Pro just has a better Wi-Fi antenna and protocol than what the Portal is offering. So some say that the Portal's price tag is too much, and yes, it's $200, and a D9 can be had for around $40. But the D9, you have to bring your own device that's capable of streaming your games. And even getting a low-end Android tablet to pair with the D9, you're getting close to about the same price as the Portal. While I think the price in the end is really comparable between these two options, the features aren't. With the Portal, you're going to get a one-unit device. There's no pairing different controllers to screens to get it to work. It has rumble. It has a first-party build quality to it. And you can feel the premium of it compared to something like the D9. And getting your streaming set up to your PS5 is a lot more streamlined, as there's only really one system to worry about. Using a D9 with iOS or Android, you're going to get multiple streaming options. You can use Bluetooth headphones or earbuds of your choice. And if you have existing devices, you can use that with a D9. So there is no need to go out and buy a dedicated streaming device. After time with both systems, I find that using the D9 a better option. I have devices to stream my consoles already, and I have more than just a PlayStation to stream. And while I miss Rumble, I much prefer the ability to use my AirPods. The Bluetooth connectivity is really the issue that Sony should correct through an update. I refuse to be forced to buy Sony headphones. It's a needless cost added to the Portal. I can't use the Portal on the couch while the TV's being used in the same room if I can't keep the audio from bothering others.
How are you drinking? Very, very carefully.
So the quality of the Portal is great, and I felt really good playing the streamed games. But not being able to use it in the main situation I would use it in means it's going back in the box. And the D9 controller offers really nothing new that other grip controllers or other Bluetooth controllers can offer, except that it can stretch out to grip around an iPad Pro. And while that is cool to play a controller with such a large screen attached to it, I prefer to play the iPad Pro while it sits on a table and I use a regular Bluetooth controller. And for that setup, I don't need to go out and buy anything. I already have a Bluetooth controller that could connect to a game streaming device. The only thing that's saving the D9 from going back in the box is that I like to play pinball on my iPad, and being able to grip it vertically with a controller actually is a better gaming experience. So my thoughts for the end of this video. It's really hard to recommend the Portal just because it's so limited in its options and features outside the PlayStation ecosystem. And that's not really a dig on it, that is its design, is to work with your PS5 and to have that streamlined, and it is great. But for me, I don't need another device around that kind of does what devices I already have can do. And at the end of it too, the streaming seemed to be a little bit better coming off of the iPad than it was with the Portal. And that's one thing to kind of keep in mind. The device that you're using to streaming is locked with that portal. It's not going to get upgraded. But your phone or tablets, you probably are upgrading a lot more and are going to continue to upgrade those every year or every 2 years. So you're going to always have something that's a little bit better in terms of a streaming device than what the portal is. The portal is locked, and that's not going to be switching out until there's another version. So really, if you don't have a tablet or something with a larger screen that can stream your games, then I would recommend that PS Portal. Thanks for watching the video. I'd like to hear in the comments what you think of the PS Portal or the D9 controller, or possibly that you have a controller and streaming device that you like to use. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.